So why don't you walk me through when exactly you found out today that Trump was going to be indicted?
Well, we received a phone call to inform us that an indictment had been returned, and so I don't think it was much before probably the public found out, but we did learn that.
And what went through your mind when you got that phone call?
Well, I mean, honestly, there's no joy in seeing this man indicted or charged. I mean, there's a great deal of love for him. He was the leader of our country, a former president. So for those people that really like him and believe in his cause, I feel bad that this man was charged. But on the other hand, being a lawyer and seeing the justice system work, I have great respect for the grand jurors that were conscientious and hardworking and went through the evidence and applied the facts to the law and returned that indictment. I have to have respect for that. So now it's a matter of seeing whether the system continues to work. He is presumed innocent, and the law will be applied to the facts. There's one adage, though, we have all learned, I think in maybe third grade civics class: no man is above the law. And if there's one shining light in this, it's the fact that our system can work on that equality basis.
Now, at this point, we don't know exactly what charges there are. Can you speak to that?
I really can't. I haven't received permission really to discuss the specifics of that, and so I don't want to address that.
I understand you've had numerous conversations with your client, Stormy Daniels, today. Can you tell me her reaction to this news?
Yes. So I was the first to tell her. She was out riding horses and came in. Her phone had blown up, and she called me first, and I told her about it. Now, honestly, for the last several months, I think a lot of people believed that this was likely to occur, and so there's a degree of it being somewhat anticlimactic. But she agrees with me. This is a moment that is sad. She's not rejoicing or happy about it, but she also wanted the truth to be known and wanted the former president to deal honestly. And so, from that perspective, she's somewhat encouraged or pleased by the fact that the truth has been made known, at least to the grand jurors.
Is she prepared to testify moving forward?
Yeah, so I represented Stormy since 2019, and I took over for Michael Avenatti when he was terminated. And I can tell you that we've taken a position to stay out of the limelight, stay out of the cameras. We haven't done many interviews in the last 4 or 5 years because I just didn't think that was the right course to take. But in this instance, she's always made it known that she'd be available to law enforcement, and she's a great historian. She really is. I've found her to be very consistent in the cases that I've represented her in with regard to truth telling and accuracy. So she will make herself fully transparent and available to them.
Can you speak to some of the challenges that could potentially lie ahead? Obviously, we're very much in uncharted territory here.
True. I mean, there's going to be a significant challenge early on in the case because the lawyer that's been speaking out for him and his claims to represent him agreed to represent Stormy and had received a substantial amount of privileged information and communications. This is before she hired Avenatti. So one of the first blows that will be probably delivered is challenging whether he can go forward, and that'll be on my shoulders because I represent her in connection with that particular privileged information.
Now, Trump released a statement today. The first line, this is political persecution and election interference at the highest level. It's a full page. I'm not going to read you the whole thing. What would your reaction to that be?
Well, I hope that's not accurate. I don't know if there's many politics when grand jurors are sitting, listening to sworn testimony, looking at documents. I would hope not. I'm sure that we all have opinions about what political winds blow, but frankly, I hope that's not the case. But if it is the case, he'll have the opportunity, probably in a very public courtroom with unbiased peers his own peers as a jury to make that very clear.
Can you walk us through what exactly Americans will see unfold when Trump surrenders in Manhattan?
Well, it just really depends on what the charges are. There are multiple felonies. Is it a misdemeanor and a felony? It really depends. I don't think there will be any issues with bail, for example. I don't know if he will. I'm sure he'll surrender and walk through the process. So usually, the white collar people that are charged with crimes have that particular luxury, and I'm sure he will. But thereafter, he'll have the right to have a hearing and challenge the legal sufficiency of those charges. And thereafter, he will be tried unless there's a resolution by a plea agreement or a dismissal.
Have you been given any indication as to when he might potentially surrender?
No, I haven't, other than listening to his public statements on that issue.
A lot of people obviously are reacting to this. Some people calling it a witch hunt, some lawmakers calling it a witch hunt. Do you have any concerns for your client's safety, I guess, moving forward?
I very much am. And I've had a lot of talks with her about it. And frankly, I mean, she's been threatened, and I have as well. You just believe that people are overreactive or shrill. But I think if people saw it from our perspective, from the standpoint of trying to do the right thing, trying to be open and transparent, they would and see this through the legal processes. That's what our system has been built on, is the fairness of that system, or the fairness of that process.
You said you've been representing her since 2019. You know, this has been a really long process for her. How is she feeling? Is this a sense of relief, or, you know, the process is not done? But I guess, can you give us a sense of how she's feeling?
Well, keep in mind, she's dealt with a number of legal issues, not the least of which is multiple federal litigation involving President Trump, and then also the whole issues with regard to the indictment of her former lawyer and his imprisonment. And I mean, at a point after this all became public, she was arrested in a city falsely, and that led to a federal case which we handled. So she's been through a lot of litigation. What people don't know is she's remarkably bright and very, very, very quick-witted, and she's a real solid person. We see maybe a more frivolous side when she's trying to be funny or she's tweeting on Twitter, but she really is a very bright, introspective, careful thinking young woman, really, or lady, I should say.
Do you have any message to those folks on the grand jury?
Would I have a message? I don't know who they are. I just have great respect for anyone that has to give up their professional and personal life for that period of time to sit and do public service. It's the greatest thing next to military service that we can do as citizens. So I have just very, very avowed respect for those folks. What
are the next steps for you?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, to the extent that the prosecution did not call Stormy to the grand jury, and that was a tactical decision that they made, but it's more likely than not that she'll be called if there is a trial in this matter, and she will make herself fully available, and I'll be at her side when that happens.
Are you expecting there to be a trial?
I don't know. I can't predict what Trump's legal team will do. We've dealt with them a lot. I mean, he rolls through them. We'll have a set of lawyers, and then maybe next month there's a whole new set of lawyers. Then next month there's another set of lawyers, and the previous lawyers are fighting with him along the way. It's crazy. So I can't predict what his legal team, whoever they may be, will do.
Is there anything else that you want to say?
No, I would, if he were sitting next to me, I would say I feel bad for him. I really do. And I think we have to just trust in our constitutional network and system to see this through, and we're going to be okay.